So you ready?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready. 3, 2, 1.
So welcome everyone to episode 8 of Overthinking and Anxious.
Yeah, episode 8. Exciting.
Very exciting.
My name's Marty.
And I'm Paris.
And yeah, super happy to be here with you guys. I hope you guys are doing well. And I'm in a good mood tonight. So as we record this, I'm in a super good mood. So I'm fired up, ready to get it on.
And I'm also in a good mood. Maybe you'll laugh a little bit more when I just throw in my corny joke.
Yeah, I doubt it. Yeah. I am a little bit saddened though, because we didn't get an email this week yet.
This is true.
From any listeners. I'm hoping that people might reach out or just shoot us an email and say, hey, you guys we enjoyed the show. I enjoy the show. I listen to the show, just so we know people are listening. And I mean, we see that people are listening.
Yeah, we do.
And thank you. But just send us a little email.
Did you need to grab a Kleenex?
No.
No? Okay.
Why?
Well, you said you talked about tears, so I just wanted to make sure that you didn't need a Kleenex.
Oh, I thought I had a booger or something.
No. If I'd be able to see it from here there, I'd be a little concerned.
Right. Anywho, how about we get into the nitty-gritty? I want to know what we have on the agenda today. This is what I love about the podcast is that, Paris is pretty damn well organized. I show up with the Zoom account and I press record and I'm like, all right, what are we talking about?
So Marty, we've been doing this podcast for week 4 now that we're on, so about a month. So how has your journey been since we started?
It's been okay, but I need to smarten up. I need to add more exercise. I need to really focus on this quitting smoking. And if I can really focus and change that, I think it's going to make a huge difference. So this week, anyways, I started limiting my amount of cigarettes first couple days. And then when I run out, I'm going to try to just cold turkey. Try to focus on quitting smoking this week. Really, for me, the biggest effect is the smoking because it's really cutting my energy in half. So I really just need to focus on the initial route right now that's slowing me down altogether. That's my main focus. Quitting smoking, horrible addiction.
Yeah, it can't be easy. It's not something that I have any knowledge about, but every person that I've talked to that has tried, it's definitely been a struggle. And I mean, we've talked about it quite a bit. And,
Yeah.
You've attempted to quit a few times and you've been really successful too. So you can do this.
For sure. Yeah. So let me turn the question on you. Just since you asked me a question, let's turn it on you and just how have you been doing the last 4 weeks and how's your journey going?
It's definitely been a struggle. And I think the struggle is mostly getting the motivation to be more active. So when it comes to the food, that I'm still super dialed in. I'm meal prepping when I need to. I'm working from home though, so it's a little bit easier for me. I'm lucky enough that I have an hour for lunch as well. So I'm able to kind of prep fresh meals at home, on the spot. So I'm able to kind of eat what I feel in the moment. But I think all of the knowledge that I've gained over the last 7 months about how to cook things and what calories are in what food, I've been able to make those on the go decisions, and it's been really great. So nutrition wise, I'm doing great. The exercise though, throughout November and now we're mid-December, I feel like my workout have definitely decreased or have changed, and I'm not as successful because of the shorter days that you were mentioning, and also the change in temperature. We've had a lot of rainy days in the East Coast, and it's been getting colder as well. So it's changed a lot of my workouts to indoors. So I'm doing a lot more core workout, which is not a bad thing. It's a good thing. Like I need to strengthen those muscles. But my cardio is really what was like making it more successful for me to lose the weight. So I need to make sure that I keep the core training that I have increased, but also maintain the cardio level that I had back in the summer. So I have to kind of figure that out somehow.
Or at least keep it at, like, if we can at least incorporate a little bit of it. Maybe we can't do as much as cardio as we did in the summer because we were
Yeah.
biking or walking or hiking. Like you were hiking. I wasn't hiking really.
Mm-hmm.
So we were getting a lot of miles in and a lot of cardio. I'm not a fan of winter, but
Yeah.
it's not an excuse. The investment we put in today is the result that we get later, because later is in 6 months from now. And in 6 months from now, if I don't do it, I'm going to be exactly where I am right now, which is a lot better than when I was last year, but it's not what I'm looking for.
Yeah, you're not done. Like neither of
Yeah.
us are done. So
Yeah. So it's but for me is cigarettes. This week is really my focus. I really want to, and I believe that I will achieve it this week, where it's just, okay, I'm gonna just be a non-smoker from now on. So yeah.
a couple of episodes ago when we had Melissa as a guest, we had talked about the fear of like failing to the point where we would have to like kind of start over. And I had made a comment about like, I don't want to be in a state where I need to start over again, because that was probably the hardest thing that, I had to go through, because not only do you have the fear and confusion of like where to even get started, but you have the struggle of, not being able to walk more than a kilometer at the time,
Mm-hmm.
having to build that cardio and having to like kind of go through the pain, the initial pain that is like a huge struggle. So the feelings that I had back then when I started in May, I'm feeling similar feelings now. So not necessarily of fear, but of kind of like, okay, like how do I readjust to this new season, all the changes that have happened over the last couple months? Like, how do I readjust to make sure that it fits my life and that I'm able to be successful? I'm kind of having like that struggle.
Yeah, I've been having that struggle for about 4 weeks. And
Yeah.
that's my problem, is that it's too long. I just need to stop overthinking and get to the action. Like, stop listening to my thoughts and being like, oh, how am I going to adjust? And all this bullshit that I'm trying to come up with. We have these really nice Versa 2 Fitbit watches. I'm not making it heat up. Don't get me wrong. I went and walked 5 kilometers yesterday, but it's just, you got to be consistent, man.
Yeah. I think maybe one of the problems that we have is that we're trying to do like we did in the summer, and that's not going to be possible. We can't, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we need to find our new normal, like our new success.
Just crank the tunes, dance, and do a little bit of core shit in between. I'm
So,
pissed off.
well, I think we need to be, right? Because sometimes when we're pissed off and when we're angry and disappointed and whatever, that's what gives you the kick in the butt that you need to get motivated again.
It's just not consistent. I'm doing stuff, but I'm not consistent enough.
Well, I'm in that boat as well there. I'm not doing enough either. Like I know I could be doing more. And I mean, I'm still losing weight, but I'm not losing weight as much as I was. And not that I'm trying to lose weight fast, because I want to do it the healthy way, but had I put more effort into my exercise, I would have lost more weight for sure. But what are we learning from this though?
That it's easy to sidetrack and get back on the old road.
And what are we doing with that information?
We're making realizations and overthinking for 4 weeks time, and eventually, hopefully, going to do something about it. That's the path of a person that has had struggles with food addiction. Bottom line is, when do we put it in action, our thoughts and our overthinking? Stop overthinking. Stop thinking about it. Stop thinking, oh, I have to quit smoking. I don't know how I'm going to do it. Oh, we're walking. It's dark. It's this. It's cold. Okay, well, just fucking dance inside, dude.
Yeah.
Crank the tunes and dance inside. Do some core training. Anyway, I'm fired up.
But the thing, yes, we've quit before, we both have. But what we're doing differently is we are reflecting and we are talking about it, which before we just would have quit.
I've had these moments before. I just don't want to give up this time.
Well, I don't think that you are.
And I've gone this far before, but I want to surpass this. I've been
It's
on and off.
it's part of the process, though. You need to make sure that you're not beating yourself up.
Bottom line is, I'm going to speak for myself, is I need to start being honest with myself again and putting myself in the mindset of saying, remember the changes you made and that you were sticking by and you were making an oath to stick by. Well, you just get back to those changes. You're doing good. You're doing okay, but not so many like loosey goosey, and then not exercising consistently and, quit smoking, focus here. Focus, pocus. Focus, hocus pocus. I'm serious though, but yeah, I'm joking at the same time. But I think you have to remind yourself constantly what you're into and realize that it's a marathon. It's not a race.
Yeah, it is. You have to remember why you started in the first place, and you have to reflect on what it means to go back. I often remind myself of how I felt about life and about myself when I was at my heaviest, because it's important for me to remember how miserable I was. It kind of gives me the motivation to not go back.
Consistency is better than perfection. It's now. The journey is now. It's not in 6 months from now. It's not in 4 months from now. You want results. You want to feel better. You want to, next time you go to the doctor and get your blood tests done, you want to look better on the scorecard. You don't want to be smoking. You don't want to be fighting for that 1, 2, 3 pounds that you're always hovering in. And get back to being consistent, not perfect. And I just got to start acting on it. And that's where I'm at right now. Again, it's not an easy journey. It's not an easy thing. And it's not a breakdown. It's more of a breakthrough. It's a realization that, you need to step it up. And that's where I'm at right now.
Yeah, I agree with that for sure.
Let's talk about weed.
Okay.
Weed in today's society.
Yeah, we can.
No, let's not talk about weed.
Okay.
Anyway, Paris,
Yes, Marty.
have you ever felt guilt?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we all have.
Do you feel guilty right now for not being as good as me?
Yeah, that's exactly where I was going with it. Like, I think about it every day. I'm like, I wake up in the morning and I'm like, okay, like, how can I be more like Marty today? And then I like go to bed at night and I reflect on my day and I'm like, okay, have I done enough? Like, am I a little bit more like Marty? Like, that's how I, gauge my success in life. Did you have another actual legit follow-up question to your question?
Do I look like I have a legit follow-up question?
So you have many looks, Marty. You have like the deep thought, and then you have like oh, I have an idea. And those are just like a couple examples of many, but those can switch in like half a second.
Rally.
Yeah. I definitely have, and I've had to. I find myself quite in the being able to adapt department. So yeah,
Okay. So let's throw Marty under the bus night.
not at all. I think it's great that you're able to do that. I think with having conversations like we do, it's so important to realize if you're in the moment or if you're feeling it. Because if you would continue on and push through a conversation that you are not feeling, it doesn't create the vibe or the impact that we're looking for.
Exactly.
Great that you can do that.
Okay, fine. It's a compliment. Thank you. I'll
Yeah,
take
you're
it.
welcome. It's a compliment for both of us, right? So you are able to recognize when you're not feeling it and move on. And then I'm able to adapt to that. And I think you haven't noticed that you do that just because like I haven't reacted. I just kind of like adapt to it and like move on with you, right? So
Right. So do you
I'm the
believe in
same.
aliens?
So I've struggled for a vast majority of my life believing in something that I cannot see. I've only been open to the idea of aliens existing probably in the recent 6 to 12 months. So since I've met you, oh my gosh, what?
Just reliving a moment. I don't remember how you said it,
Okay,
but it
great.
was something like the. You wanted to say the, like,
Oh, and I said, oh, whatever. We'll
yeah.
definitely hear it in editing.
You'll hear it.
Oh, yeah, can't wait. So, anyways, so since I've met you, you are very much in belief that there's aliens out there. So I think that it has sparked an interest that I kind of had opened up before I met you. I still struggle very much so with the belief just because, again, I haven't seen it. But I think what has helped is I've seen a few documentaries of, either people or kids even that have seen either, spaceships or aliens for
Do
sure.
you believe in aliens? Yes or no?
Do I believe that there's something else that exists out there? Yes.
Okay, and what would those be? Like, that's the word that we identify that to is aliens.
Okay. So then in that case, see, I have a hard time admitting that I believe in aliens.
Hmm.
I can say I believe that there's something else out there with no problem, but saying I believe in aliens, I don't know why. It's different to me. And do you think it's because of what others that are maybe non believers are saying about people who believe?
Did you ask me a question?
Oh my gosh, yes, I did. I'm sorry, but like this has happened a couple times now. And this will be a call out. So let's throw Marty under the bus. This will be an actual legit one. Because we've realized in the last few editings that there will be moments in our podcast recording where Marty completely spaces out as I'm having a conversation and he's like, oh, she's got this, it's okay, I got time to focus on something else. Which no, you should be focused on what I'm saying as well, because we're partners. So sometimes I will ask you a question in retrospect of what I was saying, and then you weren't focusing, so you have no idea what I was talking about. And of all
Oof,
subjects,
that's a
of
lot.
all subjects, you should not leave me hanging when we're talking about aliens.
So the reason why I wasn't focused on what you were saying is because I was reading an article stating that the former Israeli space security chief says extraterrestrials exist and Trump knows about it. All I can say is that I believe in aliens. If you want to see a good documentary, watch the one that I referred to you, which is Area 51, Bob Lazar.
Yeah.
There's too much coming out in the last couple of years, especially in the last year. I really believe. I believed before anyways. So there can't be that many planets out there. So why wouldn't there be?
Exactly. Now, let me ask you this. If you would encounter an alien and you could ask it 3 questions,
Hmm.
what would those questions be?
What do you know about what else is out there?
Yeah.
I would be really interested in breaking grounds with scientists for the propulsion system of their craft. So that
Yeah.
way the geniuses on Earth could actually know what the propulsion system is.
Hmm.
I mean, I wouldn't have anything to do with me, but it would help advance humanity and technology, of course.
Yeah.
And then probably my third question would be like what planet they're from, like, and why are they here? I guess that's two questions,
Okay.
but yeah, it'd be cool. I would love to be that person, and I would also hope to be conscious, like in the sense of being able to stay controlled through the whole thing without having to take medication or anything, because what a
Okay.
trip that would be. That would be an adrenaline rush.
Yeah, for sure. But we were also talking about it the other day, and you were kind of saying that, if you'd be sitting at your kitchen table and, an alien walked up on the porch, you'd be like, hey, come on in. Like, do you
I
think you
would,
would
but
be that, do you think you would be that calm?
probably not. Like, I'm just imagining one coming up right now, and I'm like, yeah, it'd be kind of fucked up, but it'd be
Like,
cool.
what emotions do you think you would feel?
Probably the first would be fear, I guess, right? I'm sure there's emotions that you don't even know exist if you'd end up seeing something like that or witnessing something like that, being a part of it. Although it'd be cool, it'd probably be life changing.
Yeah, I think the initial fear feelings would be probably similar to something that you would feel when you see like a wild animal that you've never seen before and that is dangerous.
Can you imagine?
Yeah.
Did you see that video of that guy getting chased by a mountain lion?
Yes. Yes. Do you not remember that you showed me that video after I had talked to you about how I go hiking all the time, and you were asking me like how I can do that without, weapons or anything like that?
Right. I
Yeah.
remember now. We had a full discussion about that.
Yeah.
And then I sent you that video
Yeah.
of that guy who kind of ran into this mother and cubs. He tried to approach the cubs before realizing mama didn't want that. So he started backing off, and she followed him for, oh, I don't remember how long, but
Thought it was like a half an hour or something like that. It
it
was
was a
something
long
crazy.
time. And it was crazy when she'd open up her paws and start
Yeah.
chasing him. Like,
Yeah. And like almost pounds. Like it's crazy.
the guy, oh, the guy stayed composed.
And still taped, might I add.
He was composed. Like, he
Yeah.
could handle an alien. Whoever that guy is could handle an alien.
For sure. For sure.
Yeah.
Well, while you're reading whatever you're reading there, I'm
I'm
gonna
not
go.
reading.
What are you doing?
I was breathing.
Well, so my son turned 13 this week. So finally, or I have a teenager in the house. So that's great.
Happy
Um,
birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Ian. Happy birthday to you.
But anyway, so I have a teenager in the house, and it's been great to kind of like see him developed into this like young little man, and his interests are changing, and his interest in like what he likes to watch on TV or whatnot. So he's been like into more documentaries or like shows or movies based on real life stories. So on his birthday, I was like, hey, let's watch a movie together. So I asked him like what he wanted to watch. So he chose Titanic, of all things, whatever. So we're watching the Titanic, having a good time, sitting there all interested in the movie. And like he stops and looks at me. He's like, Mom, like there's dogs on the Titanic. I'm like, yeah. Where do they put the dog poop? I laughed so hard. He's like so interested in this movie, and like that's his biggest concern right now. It's funny. It's funny.
All right. So what are we talking about?
Do you want to go back to the guilt?
Yes.
Okay.
What is guilt?
So I do have a definition of guilt. Guilt is an emotional experience that occurs when a person believes or realizes, whether it's accurate or not, that they have compromised their own standards of conduct or have violated universal moral standards and bear significant responsibility for that violation.
Whoa, that's long.
I know.
Can you break it down? Like, what the hell?
That's Wikipedia for you.
It's too much.
It is. Guilt is basically an emotional experience that you feel when you've done something that you're kind of like reflecting and feel that you've done wrong based on either your own standards or what you think society thinks you should be doing. And there's different levels of guilt as well. And I think that if two people go through the same situation or do the same action, it's very unlikely that they will feel the same level of guilt, because we all process things differently. We all have different beliefs or different morals or different standards or whatnot. So there's so many factors that affect guilt.
Yeah, guilt would be pretty much directly tied to values, principles, morals. Some people kill and they don't even feel guilty.
Exactly, because they do not have the morals or the value of thinking that that was wrong in the first place. If the values and the morals were not instilled in those individuals from a very young age, sometimes it is very possible for them to not understand that what they have done is wrong.
Guilt is a heavy word.
It is. We've all felt it at some point in our life. Guilt can have a very, very negative impact very often.
Like on your mental health.
Absolutely. We dwell on the past, on our past mistakes, and on how we've affected people. I mean, none of us are perfect. I think we've all hurt people. We've all done wrong. We've all had a negative impact on someone's life at some point in time. Some of it was not intentional for sure, but some of it might have been intentional. And we do feel a level of guilt. And sometimes we kind of like carry that guilt with us for an extremely long period of time.
That's where forgiveness comes into play.
Yeah, for sure. I think we need to realize that when we're feeling guilty, it's not going to change the past. It doesn't matter how guilty you feel. That past, whatever action you're feeling guilty about, is not going to change. It happened. But I think what you can do with guilt is understand. You can look at the situation and analyze what was done and what could have been done differently and kind of change the course of your future.
Exactly.
Do you think that guilt does anything positive to yourself or to others?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that. I think initial guilt is important because it shows that you can recognize wrong or that you have values and morals. But ongoing guilt, to me, doesn't have value. It actually has a negative impact, not only to yourself, but to others around you. And
Mhm.
it kind of blinds you from the ability to change, to grow, and to improve. Now, how do you let go of guilt?
I think by forgiving yourself.
That's a big word, forgiveness.
Mhm.
I think we struggle with that.
Yeah, that's why we turn it into bad habits or certain activities that are not necessarily good for our mental health, but it numbs out the pain or it numbs out that guilt because we can't stand up and forgive ourselves for it. So it's a big process, right?
Do you think it's easier or harder to forgive ourselves, or do you think it's easier to forgive others?
I don't know. What do you think?
Depends on where you're at yourself from a mental perspective, but also a self love perspective. If you struggle with loving yourself and who you are, it's going to be a lot harder to forgive yourself. You need to be able to acknowledge that it's okay for you to make mistakes, that we're all humans and there's a process to it. And I think if you don't love yourself, you will be less likely to forgive yourself for mistakes that are normal.
Hmm. Yeah, it really does have a lot to do with where you're at.
Now, if we talk about, since we're on the topic of forgiveness, and I think you and I have talked about this before, forgiving others that may not deserve it, what that means, and why I believe that it's needed.
I agree. 100%.
We've all had people that have done us wrong in the past. And whether or not those people have earned our forgiveness or have felt the guilt that was required based on their wrong action, I think regardless of all of that, you need to be able to forgive people who have wronged you because it's going to allow you to heal. It's going to allow you to move on in life. And I think when we don't forgive, we dwell on the negatives that have happened to us. And sometimes we become unhealthy with our emotions because we hold a grudge and we always have relationships that have tension. So sometimes you have to forgive and let go. But I want to make it clear that it does not mean that we forget the wrong that has happened to us. You can forgive and not forget. And I think if you can forgive someone who doesn't deserve it, who has wronged you, who has not felt that guilt, and you're still able to do that to move on, it makes you so much stronger as a person. And that is important.
It's a big reward.
It is. Because, and I'm not saying that I'm at a point where I have forgiven everyone that has done me wrong at 100%,
It's a work
but
in progress.
absolutely.
For anyone, it's a work in progress.
For sure. And it depends on the wrong that has been done, right? Like if someone has lied to you versus someone who has abused you, the level of forgiveness that is needed is going to be different. And how much it has impacted your life, that again is going to impact the level of forgiveness. When I don't forgive someone, it has a huge impact on the stress in my life, on my anxiety level. Forgiving without closure is sometimes something that you need to accept. It makes it so much harder, but you will not always have closure in life. Sometimes it's because you just can't get it. Sometimes the person who's done you wrong is not able to or willing to give it to you, but it doesn't mean that you shouldn't forgive and move on.
Yeah.
sorry, I can obviously I can see you and I can see the wheels spinning and you're in such deep thought.
Mm-hmm.
So what is going through your mind, Marty, with everything that I've said?
No, I'm just agreeing with you, really, and I was trying to think of all of the possibilities, and you were naming them one after the other. Even if and the only one I can think about is, even if you're uncomfortable, you're too uncomfortable to confront the person who's done you wrong. Um, that's okay as well, as long as you can do the work inside and heal by
Absolutely.
yourself. But I mean, it's important to try to close some chapters and try to really go dig and do the work.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's so beneficial. I don't think that we realize the impact that it has on our life when we don't forgive someone, and the feelings that we have towards that person um is always negative, right?
Hmm.
So the more negative feelings that you have in your life, I mean, the more pressure that it has, the more tension that it creates. Get rid of those as much as you can. The path that's in front of you is going to be a lot easier.
Hmm.
Forgiveness is something of the past, but it's something of the present, and it's something that's going to continue on in our future. I don't think we're ever going to be at a point that we're not going to be required to forgive. There's always going to be something that's going to happen, because we're not going to be, even if it's self-forgiveness, right? There's always going to be times in our life where we're going to do something that we feel guilty about, and we need to reflect and then forgive ourselves. Not easy, but we got
I'm
to do
fe-
it.
I'm feeling it though.
Yeah.
I'm feeling it personally. That's the thing, is you got to really focus on you. You can't worry about others around you. The only person that you are cheating, if you're not doing what you need to be doing, is you. And I don't want to cheat myself. I want to give myself an opportunity to feel better and to be able to take on new challenges next summer, like going biking in different terrains and, different types of trails, harder trails, stuff,
Yeah.
just stuff that I'd like to take on, which will need more endurance, more balance, more of my lungs. And so it's also very important right now for me. And that's where I'm at. So I feel like I'm at a crossroads.
Yeah.
Even tonight, you're witnessing a crossroads and decisions that are being made right now, and saying, okay, tomorrow is a fresh start. This is where the real journey begins for the next level.
And I think this is a good representation of what talking does. We talk about our struggles, we talk about, the obstacles that we have, we talk about our successes and all of that. But it's by talking about it that we run into these crossroads and give us the ability to kind of change sometimes our mindset or make adjustments to what has or has not been working.
I agree. It all resonates.
Yeah. And you said it, Marty, we need to do the changes for ourselves first and foremost. I mean, it's going to impact our surroundings. It's going to impact the people in our life, but you need to do it for you, and you should be in competition with yourself and kind of continue pushing yourself. So, okay, I did 5K the other day, I'm going to do 6. So I'm constantly competing with myself, and remember that you are your only limitation.
Exactly. We didn't sink to the bottom. We're not on the bottom of the barrel there. That's not what we're saying, but we
Oh,
we let up a little bit for the last 4 or 5 weeks, and I'm just afraid to head back towards the wrong way.
yeah.
And it could be a long winter. I don't want it to be that way.
We've kind of dialed it back a little bit, but it doesn't mean that we didn't keep going with our nutrition and our exercise. It's just that we weren't as intense as we were before. And those are all things that are going to happen and are part of the process. But it's kind of like reflecting on that and making the necessary adjustments to kind of move forward.
And like you say, talking about it makes you realize. So that's the reason why we created the pro. And that's the reason why we created the podcast. We were chatting once in a while here and there and having long talks. And then you make all these realizations and you also feel like you make sense sometimes. Sometimes you don't make sense at all. Of course, we both know that there's people out there that are exactly like us. Why not share it and see what happens from there? And if it can impact or if it can reach people and we can gain an audience, then yeah, great. Awesome. It's great. We're having fun doing it anyways.
We are.
Yeah. Anyways, it's fun, man. It's all it is. It's what it's all about. Throwing the good vibes out there.
The good vibes, the mispronounced words, the messed up sayings, and the laughter.
Yeah.
All part of it.
Absolutely. Mostly brought to you by Putties.
Because Marty has editing control.
So I think we got a show.
I think we do.
So if you got a little bit of love to spare,
share it around.
With a friend, share it with a loved one, share it with a stranger. It doesn't matter who you share it with as long as you crack a smile.
You never know how it's going to brighten someone's day.
So thanks for listening. Check us out on social medias. We are on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, Facebook, Overthinking and Anxious. The podcast is available on YouTube, Overthinking and Anxious, Apple, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and many other platforms such as Anchor, who is actually the base of our podcast. So thanks to Anchor.
And don't forget to send us an email at overthinkinganxious@gmail.com.
Yeah. So that's that. Thanks for tuning in. Be well. Take care of yourselves.
Until next time.
Much love.
Bye. Bye.